This time on Monkey Life. Baby orangutans Rika and Bulu run the keepers ragged.
I would liken it to having twins, I think, caring for these two.
Stumpy Phil is given a helping hand as his eyesight fails.
He knows that when he hears that sound, that means he's going to get food, so he will come.
And new boys Friedrich and Kurt prove to be a hit with leader Fennel. Monkey World in Dorset, buried deep in the English countryside, is the largest sanctuary of its kind on the planet. The team, led by Dr. Alison Cronin, rescues and rehabilitates abused and unwanted primates from all over the world.
Yeah, everybody's brilliant. Really good.
The park provides a home for more than 240 monkeys and apes, allowing them to live out their lives in safety and peace. It's early morning, and most of the residents of Monkey World are still asleep. But new arrival baby Rika is wide awake and hungry. Keeper Kate is on duty, and she's had a busy night. She's in charge of Bulu too, who's also started to stir. But thankfully, he seems happy where he is for the moment, so Kate can concentrate on Rika.
Been a reasonably good night. She was up about 3 a.m. this morning, and then she went pretty much straight down, and then she's woke up again now, and it's about 6, so not too bad. She actually feeds really, really well. We do have to slow her down slightly, just because she tends to have quite a lot of wind because she drinks so quickly. So we like to burp her in the middle. Sometimes she doesn't like you doing it. She wants to carry on drinking.
Even at her young age, she's already showing her character.
She's a typical woman, quite opinionated, knows what she wants, and she'll let me know if there's anything wrong. So, tiny drop of wee in her nappy, she wants it changed.
Looking after one orange baby is hard enough, but Bulu and Rika together spell double trouble.
It's a very demanding job, looking after 2 babies at the same time, especially as they're at different ages. So she's at the age where she's being fed every 3 to 4 hours. He's being fed every 4 hours, but he'll down a bottle pretty quickly and then just get on with his life. He's always been a gulper, drinks the whole thing in one go, don't you? I feel like he had a little bit of a slow start, maybe for the first month or so that he was here, and then he's just made up for it now. I mean, he's the muscle he's got now. He can really, he supports himself completely. And he was always a very laid-back guy. Really chilled out, wouldn't mind who he was with. And he's still like that. But I think now Rika's arrived, he started to say, hey, I was here first, guys, come on. And show a little bit more of his kind of, I want things my way a bit more, whereas he didn't do that before.
Together, Bulu and Rika are getting through more than 15 nappies a day.
This is I'm going to the toilet face. And he has, you can tell. Are you stinky?
But changing an orangutan's nappy is not straightforward.
Are you going to sit still today? It's much easier with orangutans to have them on their front. I think that's mainly because they feel more confident when they're holding on to something. But now Bulu's getting a bit older, sometimes he won't sit, he doesn't want them to run at all, and he'll sit up and do that, tell you exactly where he wants to go, which isn't always helpful when you've got a messy bum. Hey, Bulu, you have to sit down, buddy.
Finally, success. But Bulu needs to be kept occupied while Kate gets back to Rika.
I would liken it to having twins, I think, caring for these two.
Rika makes life a little easier, which is just as well, as Kate still has her day job to do. There are 6 other orangs in the nursery that also need looking after.
And then we make you like a sausage roll. Ready. You make that go a minute. Have you peed again?
Yet another nappy change for Bulu. Finally, they make it out of the house. The two babies are going to be spending the day in the nursery.
Who's that noisy chimp?
Another newcomer isn't being quite so demanding. Stumpy Flo has been at the park for a while now and seems to have settled well. Today, the team have decided to try to encourage the ugly monkeys, as they're affectionately known here, to take a little exercise. So have hung up some baskets in their enclosure full of treats. Flo has nipped out and managed to bag herself a tub before anyone else, and is making the most of it. Leader Sam hasn't managed to get into one, yet. Flo is a bright Stumpy. She knows she has to work quickly before the high rankers get to her. Sylvie, who's one of the youngest, uses her nimbleness to get to her prize. While Sam is hoping dominant female Kelly might have more success than he did. Stump-tailed macaques have a very strict pecking order, and since she arrived at the park from Munich, Flo has been finding her feet. But it seems she's ended up at the bottom of the pile, along with lowly Phil.
Flo is really clever and she has learnt her place in the hierarchy. She understands who the dominant animals are and her place in it. So she's not scared of the high rankers in that she will run away from them when they approach, but she does know to be submissive of them. Flo probably gets on best with Phil. They do spend a lot of time grooming, a lot of time together, and actually Phil has been seen on a number of occasions mating Flo. He's the only one that she's allowed to mate her, so that's really nice for him because I don't think that's ever happened in his life. So he's got a nice girlfriend. But yeah, they're really, really close bond.
Sadly today, Phil is sitting on the sidelines. Over recent months, the team have noticed that his eyesight is failing. For a low-ranking Stumpy, that makes life particularly tricky.
Come on, Philip! Good boy, that's it. Come on then. Unfortunately, over the last few months, we have begun to notice that Phil is losing his sight. So he is moving a lot slower around the enclosure. Where he's moving, he's checking with his hands where he's going to go, checking where the platforms are and the benches are. Going down. We're able to adapt our management technique with him. Good boy, well done. We've also incorporated a bell, so he knows that when he hears that sound, that means he's going to get food, so he will come. Well done, Phil. Good lad. Come on, you can do it. That's it. Well done, Philip. Since he's lost his sight, Phil's position hasn't changed in the group. We are noting some issues within the group in that when an animal comes over to him, he can't see their facial expressions. So if it's a dominant animal and it's threatening him, he doesn't know that they're doing that, so he isn't moving away. We're going to make sure that our structures, the big structures in the enclosure and in the house, don't change. So the big platforms, the big posts, they're going to stay as they are. So hopefully remember how to get around the enclosure.
Life has never been easy for downtrodden Phil, and his sight problems will only add to his woes. But at least he does have a new friend in Flo, who will hopefully keep a watchful eye over him. Flo isn't the only one who's had to get used to being part of a hierarchy. Two new arrivals at the lemur enclosure have also had their work cut out. Once again, whenever there's food around, the pecking order kicks in. Houdini and Fennel are out of the house first, followed by new boys, twins Kurt and Friedrich. As leader, female Fennel gets first pickings, followed by the other high rankers. This has been a tough lesson for the twins to learn. Friedrich in particular has found it tricky. He's a confident chap, and when he and his brother first arrived from Salzburg Zoo in Austria, he had no respect for the hierarchy and immediately tried to muscle in. This didn't go down well with the others, and he ended up having a run-in with dominant male Indiana. Things have settled down a lot, although he's still on the periphery of the group. Kurt, on the other hand, is brighter than his brother. He's played the game well and has gradually worked his way into the group, which means he's allowed in when there's food around. Friedrich doesn't miss out, however, because the lemur team put some extra fruit out on the other side of the enclosure, where he isn't chased away. And there's plenty of food on the trees. The twins are still close, and Kurt in particular watches out for his brother. Although they are both currently low rankers, they're above White Spot, who's hung on to bottom position. At 2 years old, the twins are by far the youngest in the group. They're gradually making friends and have even been allowed into the lemur huddle at times. Indiana is still a bit prickly. Being the dominant male, he's not keen on the extra competition. But they have managed to win over Fennel, who's quite enjoying having some more boys around. Coming up, Hananya lets his hair down.
Every so often he has a bit of fun, and it's really good to see because he is a really nice chimp.
And it's all go at the orang nursery.
It's your favourite, isn't it? Banana.
Although all the primates at the park love their enclosures, sometimes they have to be persuaded to go outside. At Hananya's house, the chimps have decided it's too cold to go out.
It's really good to do different things at this time of year. It's winter now, weather's not great, it's cold. Because it's cold, they tend to spend more time inside. You get a bit agitated when you've got nothing to do. So yeah, we've just gathered a whole load of different sized empty boxes. We're going to put them in the outside enclosure. Maybe put a few treats hidden in there just to encourage them to play, see what they do.
It doesn't take long for Hananya and the gang to realise it might be worth braving the cold. And there's a mad scramble for the boxes. Being the leader, Hananya decides to pull rank and puts on a pretty impressive display to remind the others who's boss. Shamak, who's never far from the boss's side, has also got straight down to business. To everyone's surprise, females Cookie and Zeynep have got in on the action. They're fairly low ranking, so would normally have waited a while. Baby Thelma is enjoying the boxes too, although she's not being as adventurous as normal.
Thelma seems to be sticking quite close to Cherry this morning. Most of the time she is off and about exploring. She's been more independent, moving around on her own. This morning, though, she seems to have spent a lot of time on Cherry. I think it's a little bit chilly, so she wants to keep her hands and feet warm. Since we've had Thelma, the group dynamics have changed slightly. We're noticing Cookie is a bit closer to Cherry and Thelma and that group. She's spending a lot of time. I think she's being quite political about things. But she does like to hang out with Hananya quite often as well.
Hananya is having a great time with the boxes. Being the leader, he's often too busy to chill out.
As dominant male, it's his job to look after the group, so quite often he's in a serious mood. He has to make sure everybody's behaving themselves. Every so often he lets his hair down and he has a bit of fun, and it's really good to see because he is a really nice chimp. He particularly likes to play with Shamak, sometimes Simon and Arthur as well, having a boys' game.
Low-ranking Arthur is having lots of fun with Jess. They've always been close, but since Thelma's arrival, he's been a bit distracted with the youngster. Cherry has decided to entertain Thelma on the high-hos. She's always been a daredevil. Who knows? Maybe Thelma will follow in her footsteps. Unlike Thelma, over at the Orang Nursery, Bulu and Rika are proving to be quite a handful. Kate is in charge of all the nursery orangs today, so Bulu and Rika are going to have to entertain themselves for a while.
So I've got to medicate some people, so you've got to play with this.
But Kate isn't taking any chances. Rika is safely in the baby tunnel, and Bulu is in the playroom.
If I need to go away and do something which I need to now, I need him to be safe and I need her to be safe, so that's why it's shut.
The orangs, including Jin, Oshin, and Sylvester, are fascinated by these newcomers. The team feel it's important for Bulu and Rika to be around others of their own kind. They don't want them to become too human-focused, despite being hand-reared. Bulu doesn't feel he's getting enough attention.
Ooh. He needs his nappy changed. He's usually crazy in there. He loves it in there, but they've been staying at the hand-rearing house for a couple of days, so he's got lots of cuddles the last couple of days, so he's a little bit clingy.
Bulu is teething, so that could explain why he's unsettled.
The second tooth is coming through there. The second one is just there.
The team are keen for Bulu and Rika not to become attached to any one person, so there's a team of 4 caring for them 24/7.
Hand-rearing for a whole year is a big commitment, and it can be up to that. So, yeah, you've got your work cut out, basically.
Bulu is already on solids, despite his lack of teeth.
Your favourite, isn't it? Banana. Bulu's having baby rice, which is made with milk, and then some mashed banana as well, mixed together. He has tried to feed himself, but very unsuccessfully. But it's quite good to let them suck things and to let them suck their hands and things like that, because it does strengthen the swallow reflex. And obviously it's good when you're trying to wean them onto solids from liquids. But it's just obviously, it's very messy. Not that you mind that.
Like all babies, Bulu and Rika need constant stimulation, so it's time for a play session. But Bulu needs to be watched.
Oh, you're pulling her hair, stop.
Rika's far less mobile and can be in the firing line.
This is why we don't leave them unattended. Isn't it, Bulu? Because you're a hooligan. Rika's not on the move, so she won't be able to do anything that could tell him to go away if he fell on her or anything like that. That's why we have to watch them. But she is turning over, but she's still yet to turn back over. There is a big difference now between the size of them. I think we didn't appreciate that with him until little Rika came, because she was so much smaller. He's definitely grown a lot in a very short space of time, because he seemed to be small forever, and then all of a sudden he's just sort of made a real giant leap.
Once Kai, Jin, Sylvester and the other nursery orangs are fed and watered, there's just time to pop into the park's hospital to carry out a few checks on the babies before they go home for the night.
4.68.
Bulu and Rika are just 2 of many new arrivals to the park in the last year. As well as Flo, Kurt and Friedrich, there's also been Hawkeye and Pakaya. And a brand new marmoset house has had to be built to cope with the growing number of these small monkeys, which the team are having to rescue from the British pet trade. Baby Leo was only 4 months old when he was brought to the park, and he was the worst case they'd ever seen.
One little slip, one tiny little fall, and he'd shatter into a million pieces.
But with a lot of TLC and a proper diet, he's thrived, and is now living with new friends Sammy and Fred. There was also Buddy the loris, who Alison rescued from the Maldives.
Hello, my friend.
Back in Dorset, he was renamed Callow, but DNA tests then showed he was actually a she. With her new name, Canbullo, she went to live at Sheldon Zoo with a loris called Doris. There've been a number of babies this year. Cherry had twins. Sadly, Louise died shortly after she was born from a hole in the heart. But Thelma is thriving. And the woolly monkeys had a baby boom with 4 new additions. This is great news for the highly endangered captive population. Friendships have continued to blossom, some more unlikely than others. And a love story has been unfolding between newly paired golden-cheeked gibbons Kim and Tien, who have finally cracked their duet. Sadly, Bart lost his mum Susie, but Dad Paddy stepped into the breach, and the cheeky chimp is back causing as much mischief as ever. As is young Rodders, who continues to wind up Lulu, while Brian is still trying to prove he's the big man in Sally's group. These primates are the lucky ones. They've been given a safe haven to live out their days. But the team know their mission is far from over. While there are monkeys and apes who need their help, their work will go on.